Hi, me again. You're getting sick of seeing me. Okay, today I'm doing another book tag, which is called 10, that many, 10 influential books tag. Okay, so I have to talk about 10 books that have influenced me through my reading, my writing, and anything else that I think it's helped or changed or... Okay, number one. This pick I picked because I have been a reader for years and years, since I was very, very young. And I've always loved reading, on and off. Sometimes you get into a little pit where you can't read, you can't bother, you can't pick. But I've always read. And my first pick is going to be, which, by the way, I have a book of this somewhere. It's my old book of it. Not this exact one, but my old book of these books, and I just can't find it. So if I ever do, I will show you. But it's the first pick is Famous Five by Enid Blyton. See the guys? Oh, me, I've gone really dark. Yeah, that's my first pick. Like I said, I was reading them from a very young age. Obviously, I used to have them bought because I'm from a family of readers, and my mother always used to buy them for me, and I used to absolutely love them. I've read, if not all of them, a lot of the majority of them. The adventures they'd go on with their dog, the trouble they'd get in. It's a little bit like Scooby-Doo, if you've never read The Famous Five. They have a dog. The dog's not obviously mischievous, and they haven't got a dopey one called, I can't remember his name now, but yeah, so I used to watch that. I used to read them, and I used to probably watch them at some point because they come on the telly, and they were great. Okay, the second one, which again, it will be a picture, are, as I grew up again, are Sweet Valley High books. There you go, can you see that? Sweet Valley High by Francine Pascal. I used to read these when I was a little bit older, I suppose about 10, 11, and it was my first real introduction to romance and mischief. Not just mischief adventuring, but mischief with boys and school and friends and all different kinds of trouble. And as you know, if you've obviously read Sweet Valley High, it's about two twins, Jessica and I can't think of the other one's name. Yeah, but it's about two identical twins. One is very smart and very sensible. The other one is a bit crazy. She likes to go out. She likes to enjoy herself and have some fun. And they do get into a lot of scrapes. And they made TV programs, and it followed on to other things. And I did watch the TV programs, I think, but I was a little bit older then. But I used to read these when I was about 10, 11, which was a long time ago. Okay. Number three will be number three is a book form, and this, I'm trying to do it so that I progress through the ages, but I probably won't because I've got them a bit muddled up. But this one is further on when I was about 15, and it was the first book that was a little bit saucy, a little bit raunchy, and when one girl found it and read it, the word of this book went round like wildfire, and everybody since that's about my age that I've spoken to has read it and remembered that their school had a craze about it as well for the girls. And it's Forever by Judy Blume. This is not the copy I had years ago. It is the same. It's the same cover and everything, but I lost mine, and then I went to a car boot and I found this, and I thought it was only about 10p, and I thought I have to have it because obviously it was memories. So that's my third one. For my fourth one, it will be, actually I'll try to do this in order. It will be, oh gosh, this is my, I'm going to see if I have a date in it a minute, because this is the actual book I had years ago, but I can't see now. Anyway, this was probably about the same time or just after, but I'm sure it's about the same time. Stephen King, Carrie, and this is the actual book I had. It's actually 2 books in one. It's Carrie and the Tommyknockers. But Stephen King, any of his older books, I'm a Stephen King freak. And I was back then. Carrie was just an immense book to read when you were a child. And horror when you're that age is quite scary. And that was the first book that I was bought and I read. And I absolutely, and for the size of it, I know it's 2 books in one, but I read the whole thing when I was young. And it's now, as you can see, I have to be careful, it's now, I don't know if you can see that, it's coming apart a little bit. So that was another sort of, just as I was getting into horror and changing genres and trying different things out. And Stephen King was easy, it wasn't easy. It was easy to get into, it was fun, and for someone like me that has had trouble concentrating and reading and really has to focus, so if I can read a book, it has to be a very good book to read, because it has to capture me straight away. Okie dokie, let me have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'm on number 5, which is... I'll do this one. Forever Amber by Kathleen Winsor. A very good book. It's a big book, but it's about a girl. I can't think. Well, the monarch was Charles II, so it was a very long time ago. 17th century, 18th century, something like that, I can't remember. And she grows up, not poor, but she's definitely not rich. But she has this plan, and she just runs with it, and nobody can tell her no. She does what she wants, when she wants. She gets a bad name for herself. She doesn't care, things like that. And her name's Amber, and that's why it's called Forever Amber. And my mum told me to read it. She bought me a copy, and I never regretted it. I'm not one for history and things like that, but that book was very good, and I would recommend it to anybody. Okay, number 6, I think. I've actually lost track of how many books I've done, so I've got them all here. So the next one is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I read this book in school, and wow, blew me away, this book. It was so very, very good. That I had to buy it as an adult and reread it, and still loved it. And I've got the DVD, and I watched it years ago, and it's just stayed with me. It's such a powerful book. For how small, it's tiny. It's not many pages. It's not even 200 pages. And it's such a fantastic book. I loved it right from the beginning when I was a child in school, right till now when I still have the book. I have the DVD, and it still makes me cry when I read it or watch it. The next book, which a lot of people go, oh, no, not that one, no, how can it? But I have seen other people tell me this one as well, is Twilight by Stephenie Meyers. I've got this, yes, the motion picture cover, which I can't stand, and it doesn't match my other books, so I do have to change it, but I mean, it's not a biggie. This book got me writing, basically. I read it, and I know a lot of people hate it, or they don't like it, or they disrespect it and walk all over it, but I'm sorry. This book, for me personally, did change and influence me in my writing. One day I wasn't writing, I read this series. I just could not get over the characters. I couldn't. She had put a lot, maybe not. I mean, I love the story as well. I don't know why people don't enjoy it, but I mean, it's not an adult book, so you cannot read it as an adult book. It's a young adult book, and for a young adult book, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. There is nothing wrong with it. And I mean, as for Vampires Sparkling, to me, that's a completely new twist on it. Why can't someone think of a new way for vampires to be, you know? Other books have done it with other mythical, magical creatures. And that's what I appreciate, that people can think outside the box. And I mean, a lot of people make fun of it now, but I enjoyed it. It helped, it made me begin writing, and as of now, because of that series, I have 2 ebooks published, and I have many more to come as well. So yeah, that definitely influenced me. And I think, finally, let me just check. Oh, no, there's another one. See? I'm going away with myself. Right. The next one is one I read when I was very young as well, which is The Diary of Anne Frank. The Diary of a Young Girl. I do have this in physical copy, but like I showed you, if you've watched my bookshelf tour, the cover is ripped off because I've had it for a very long time and I need to get a new one. So I thought I'd do a picture of it instead, because you won't see what one I'm on about. I read it. It was very good. Now, again, I do get angry or annoyed because I've read on Goodreads some of the reviews that I just don't agree with, because it's a true life, or as true to life as we know, of a young girl and her diary, you know. And some people say it's rubbish, it's badly written. She was 14, 15. She didn't write it in hopes it would be published. She wrote it because she was in hard times. She was scared. She had family, but they were just as scared, so she couldn't really voice any fears or problems or any thoughts at all, because everybody at that point were just all so terrified. And for that, it does peeve me a little bit that they say some really strange things when it was a young girl writing a diary. I mean, if you pick up a diary from a young girl now, I don't expect it would have very much in there apart from boys, pop bands, and school and things like that. You know, this one is very thought-provoking, especially how it ends. I mean, I'm not going to say anything just in case you haven't read it, but definitely read it. It does open your eyes to a lot that went, or you know, hypothetically maybe went on, because I mean, obviously you don't know how much is added once she's gone, you don't know, but that one very much definitely influenced me when I was reading books, and it was a fabulous read, and you should definitely, if you haven't read it, please read it, because it's not boring. It's such a good book. And finally, this is number 10. Stolen. A Letter to My Captor by Lucy Christopher. I only found this book because I enjoy watching bookshelf tours on YouTube. And it's a great way, excuse me, my leg's hurting. It's a great way to find books to read. And I do it a lot, and that's why I've done one myself, obviously. And as I was watching someone, I can't remember who, on their bookshelf tour, I saw this book, and they said how amazing this book was. And then I went on to Goodreads, and I had a look on there, and there was lots and lots of people on there saying how amazing this book was. And it's about a girl, not sure where she's from, I'm not sure where she's going to, but she's catching a flight somewhere. And she gets kidnapped by someone she doesn't know. And it's her story, well, should I say it's her letter that she writes. The whole book is based on a letter she writes to her captor, asking him why. And then obviously she relays the story of what happened. And it's just amazing. It's set in the Australian outback. And to be honest, I'm not one for geography, and you know. And people were saying how good it was for the description of where she was alone. And I couldn't understand and I couldn't believe it, but I thought it sounded a good premise, so I would buy it. So I did, and I read it, and it was amazing. It was it was amazing. I read it in one day, and it was just There were no words. There were no words. It was just mind-blowing. It was a very good book. From one person's perspective, as a letter to someone else. And you can, through this book, you can see how people get, I think, is it Stockholm Syndrome, where you start to get feelings for your captor and things like that. So definitely a very good read. And it did influence me. It's just another part of the writing genre that you do need to read to be able to, especially if you want to write and things like that, you have to vary your reading to get a sense of every type of genre. So yeah, those are my 10 influential books, and this is my 10 influential books tag. And if I do tag people, again, it will be down below in the description. I can't think of what I was saying there. In the descriptions down below. So have a look, and I hope you enjoyed this tag. Goodbye.